the way he played guitar, the sound of his guitar, and the heart behind his guitar, I just had a kinship with it that was deeper than I could explain.
There was one instrument that was flying above the entire city of Los Angeles. That was the magic fingers of Neal Schon's guitar.
Hello everybody, it's Gary Stuckey. Welcome back to another episode where we're talking about Steve Perry and Journey and all that good stuff. And we're just talking about Neal and Steve, good friends throughout these years, reunited at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame last year. And Neal mentioned to Steve about having some coffee one day, you know, to get reacquainted and reminisce about the good old days and see what happens. And you know, I think right now is a good time, Neal, to get up with Steve, find out where he's at. I know he's at that coffee shop over there, California, that y'all like to go to. You could show up, you know, he's there. You know what time he goes over there. But anyway, Neal and Steve, you know, friends to the end. We'll see what happens with that. But speaking of Neal, here lately, over on Twitter, Neal has been talking about how his wife has been harassed by some guys from the Live Nation crew, and they gave her a hard time at a concert here recently, and he has been retweeting, you know, about how he's upset about how she's been treated. I mean, she's taking pictures and videos and posting them on Instagram, doing a real good job. And then the security guy from Live Nation's like, "Hey, lady," you know. So Neal is upset about that, and he should be, because that's his wife. But he also said that none of the other wives, the other guys' wives, have been harassed. So he's thinking there's some kind of conspiracy or something. I don't know about all that. He sounds like he's been upset here lately about a lot of things. And also another lady, a lady posted on Twitter yesterday. She said, oh, I got a ding. I got a bite. Anyway, there's a lady said, "Neal, why don't you go ahead and retire?" He was like, yeah, he wasn't happy. He's like, no, he's not going to retire. You know, he's going to keep going. He's got many years, I believe, left in him, regardless of what happens with Journey and Steve Perry also. But he was upset, so I'm thinking, Neal, to calm down. Now that Journey's on this break, go ahead, calm down, find Steve at the coffee shop, have some coffee. Coffee's supposed to be good for you, and it's supposed to calm you down and relax you, so you and Steve talk about all the times. Who knows, maybe y'all can record an album, and maybe that reunion that I think is going to happen. And, you know, the last time Neal and Steve, supposedly, like Neal said, the last time they have spoken to each other was at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I do believe they made up. And a lot of people say that, you know, they're waiting for an apology or something. Maybe they're still at odds. I think they talked about it. They hugged each other. You saw that on the at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you know, the induction. They're hugging each other, and I'm sure they made up and everything. Everything's good. So, but Neal said that's the last time they've spoken. But I do believe that the lawyers, though, the lawyers have been going back and forth for years, because anytime they have an issue or want to discuss something, a project or something, the lawyers talk to each other. So that's something to think about, regardless of where you stand. The lawyers have been talking to each other. And, you know, Steve, from last year, he said that he was going to release an album. He didn't do that. He waited till this year. And it's funny how in May at the American Idol, on the show, he pops up. And it just so happens that it was the night before Journey started their tour. And then his Steve Perry's interview that he's going to have coming up in October, it's October the 7th, which also happens to be Journey's final day on tour. And it sounds like they worked that out. It sounds like it was planned. It sounds like a lot of things have been planned. If you go back, and I've done research, and I've read a bunch of interviews and studied a lot of stuff, and it sounds like these things are planned. The weekend of American Idol, Steve showed up on, Journey was mentioned on Saturday Night Live, and they played Don't Stop Believin', and then, like I've said this before, and then Jonathan Cain releases his book the same weekend as all this. So Jonathan Cain releases Don't Stop Believin'. Don't Stop Believin' is mentioned on Saturday Night Live on Saturday night, and then Sunday night Steve Perry shows up on American Idol, and then Monday night starts the Journey tour. So you have the whole weekend mixed in with Journey, Don't Stop Believin'. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so, and I think it was planned for Steve to release this album. I think the lawyers are discussing something. I don't know what it means. I do think that Journey and Steve Perry will get back together at some point. I know a lot of people don't believe it. They're ragging me out. It's not going to happen, Gary. But that's, everybody's got their opinion. I don't, don't hate me because I believe that. But I think that's a good possibility. But all that happened, it wasn't a coincidence. Let's just say it was all planned out. So Steve Perry comes out with this album this year. So I think on October 7th, he has an interview. He might explain what's going on. Who's to say? And Neal Schon's got an album coming out next year. And I do think that they're probably going to do another Journey Through Time. So the lawyers, probably got together discussing some things. Who's to say? But that's in the future. We'll talk about some of that stuff later. But for now, Steve Perry, October 7th, on CBS, Sunday morning. It's going to be cool. New album probably going to come out right after that, probably middle of October, I'm guessing. Hey, and any day now, a single could drop. You could turn on the radio tomorrow and there will be a single. And one final thought about the Journey situation. Even though you don't believe, I believe. Years ago, I've said this before, 2012, Neal Schon says, if Steve Perry comes back, that's going to be it. We're going to call it quits. We'll do the little farewell, little reunion, maybe a few concerts, little shows, then we'll say goodbye. They were going to do that in 1996. They were going to do that. But trial by fire happened instead. And then Steve, hurt his hip, and that story. So that sounds kind of, like something's the lawyers and they're talking about it. Who's to say? But I do know that Steve Perry's got this album coming out. Neal's on a break. It's coffee time. It's coffee time. It's time to talk about it. So what's going to happen in the near future? We'll just have to wait and see. But we are excited that Steve Perry, we do know that Steve Perry's coming out with a new album. And we do know about that interview, October 7th. It's coming, people. Hey, don't stop believing in Journey or Steve Perry. God bless you. I'm Gary Stuckey. See you next time.